what I got to say you really don't want to hear because honesty ain't too high up on your priority list, right?
Honesty? You want honesty?
Hi, everyone. This is Tim with the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk entertainment. It's honesty time. Because you know what? The New York Giants are 6-1. They are rolling. Though the streams are swollen. Keep those doggies rolling, New York Giants. You know what? It's good to be 6-1 after the plethora of terrible seasons that we've had in the past. You know, 6-1 looks good. It looks good on this team, and this is the thing. It's a team. It's a team effort. And I get a little despondent when I see certain people, they talk, you know, only about one player, and they don't look at the totality of this. And it was funny. I was at Giant Stadium on Friday, and I was sitting on the bench, and it was interesting because my wife took this picture of me sitting on the bench, and I have it on the cover or on the thumbnail or whatever the hell you want to call it. It was just me. I was just thinking. I was just kind of sitting on the bench, staring at the field, thinking. She took it without me knowing, and I found it on the camera. And I say, you know, and my wife even said to me, "What were you thinking about? You know, you looked like you were deep in thought." She said, "It also looks like you wanted to go win the game, but it looks like you were deep in thought." And I thought to myself, I've been watching this team since '76. My first game, and I've talked about it a million times, was the first home game, was the opening of the Meadowlands in '76 versus the Dallas Cowboys. Craig Morton was our quarterback. We lost that game. And I've been following the team since then. You know, you live and die with your team. But you know what? This team is interesting. This 2022 team is an interesting dichotomy of a breakdown of multitudes of seasons that I've seen through the Giants. And you have some people that think that this is something that hasn't happened before in the annals of Giants history. And we've talked about this. We talked about how this has happened before. But, you know, this is different, and this feels different because of the fact that I think it all starts, and we have to give all the credit to Brian Daboll, and I've talked about this in the past. You got to give credit to Daboll. You have to give all the credit to him because of the fact that he is the architect of this offense, of this defense. Now, of course, he's more of the builder. I guess you want to say Shane is the architect, but you know what? Daboll is putting this product on the field. He is teaching a young team how to play within themselves and how to work as a unit, because this game was not won by one player. This game was not, this game was won by a team. And I said it on Twitter, and it'll piss some people off, that team is not spelled Jones. It's not. It's spelled Jiants. That's what it is. That's how this game is spelt. This team is spelt. Because it's not just Daniel Jones. It's not just Saquon Barkley. Now, I will say this. Without Saquon Barkley, we're not 6-1. But it's a buildup of everything. It's a buildup of the Winker. It's a buildup of Kafka. It's a buildup of the defense stepping up, getting gashed by the run as multitudes of times it is, but stepping up at the end and making that big stop right at the 1 yard line. It's a multitude of players. You got Fabian coming in, doing what he needs to do. You got the X-Man coming in, doing what he needs to do. You have Kayvon Thibodeau applying that pressure when needed. You have guys coming off the bench to replace Bredesen and Evan Neal. It's the next man up philosophy. And I love it because when I spoke last year about next man up, I spoke about that multitudes of times. People are always like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. No, because if you've ever played a competitive sport, you know it's always next man up when someone gets hurt. And I love it because Brian Daboll talks about it. Talks about how everyone has to be on the field, how everyone has to be ready. Everyone has to be ready to play. And the Giants build this game plan and make these adjustments so they can win these games. And I'm not bashing or disparaging Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones played extremely well on Sunday. He did what he got paid to do. He played well. But there's something that people miss. He only threw the ball 7 times in the second half and once in the fourth quarter. Why? Because Kafka and Daboll went through in their brain said, saying, no, we're just going to run him with the read option and we're going to run Saquon so we can win this game and put it away. And that's what everyone seems to forget. Everyone's going to talk about the drops. Every team has drops. I'm sorry. It's if you think the Giants are the only team that has drops, then you don't watch the NFL. Every team has drops. Every team has issues. Every team has penalties. You want to talk about penalties? Daniel Jones would have had 2 turnovers if it wasn't for penalties, 2 bad turnovers. But his team bails him out. His team bails out Saquon when he's not having a good game. Saquon bails out the defense when they're not playing well. It's a team effort. I hearken back to the early 80s. I hearken back to 84, coming after the 83 season when the Giants went 3-12-1 with Bill Parcells. It was that 3-12-1 season helped Parcells realize he had to do things his way. He spoke about it in multitudes of interviews that he almost got himself fired in 83 because he listened to everyone else. He didn't do it the way he wanted to do it. When they finally gave him, because they almost fired Bill Parcells at the end of 83. But Young and Mara kept him for one more year, and Bill said, I'm going to do it my way. And the Giants went 9-7, made the playoffs for the first time since 81. And then 2 years later, they go on to win the Super Bowl. Because he did it his way. I did it my way. And that's what Daboll is doing. Daboll is doing it his way. Daboll is putting his stamp and his philosophy on the team. And I love it because he talks about it. And so did Saquon, about how they were unhappy about the potential game-winning mental lapses yesterday. How things happen. Now, some of those penalties were bad, and some of those penalties were true. But they talk about it, that they didn't capitalize. Daboll even said it before. We didn't capitalize in the red zone. Giants scored just once on 5 trips inside the 20. We gave up too many yards, he says. Even though they had a season high of 452 yards. We didn't finish the game we should have finished the game, the way we should have finished the games. Which he was even referencing, what was going on. But the defense followed up. The defense followed up and stepped up big time. And I love it because the Giants were on their way to doing that. And Kafka called 3 straight running plays for Barkley, picked up 40 yards. The problem was at that one point in time, he stepped out of bounds. But it was another bad call because he gave himself up. If you give yourself up, you're automatically down. So Barkley gave himself up, and that's what put it back at a minute 9. He gave himself up as he was running, and that automatically should have had him down right where he was at, not out of bounds. But that's fine. That's fine. Barkley did what he had to do. Jones did what he had to do. The team did what they had to do. And I've been reflecting on this now for the last couple of weeks because you know what? I said the Giants would win 5 games. I was wrong. They won 6. And you know what? It's a good thing. And all the people that like to leave their comments, well, you said they were going to win this and they only won that. So what? I was wrong. And I don't want to say this and I don't want to be mean about it, but if your total existence is for you to leave nasty comments that I was wrong, I feel sorry for you because that means you don't have anything else in your life. But you know what? I feel happy for the Giants. I feel happy for the true fan base that understands football. I feel happy for the guys that have been here through the Judge, the Shermer, the McAdoo, and everything else. The guys that have pushed forward on this team because I posted a picture of it today as well. It's in the Giants locker. It's a picture of inside the Giants locker room, and it's a picture of the lockers. And the slogan just says, and it's very easy. It just says team first. And I got to give Daniel Jones all the credit in the world as well because of the fact that he doesn't seem to be buying into the minutia that the fans are. That he's if I hear one more time he's a top 5 quarterback, have we really lowered the bar that much? Daniel Jones is above average quarterback who's playing within himself and not making the mistakes. And the Giants at the end of the game at times do not put him in position to make mistakes. And that's what he's doing well. And he's doing it as part of the team. He's doing it as part of the team philosophy. And that's what makes this team special. And that's why everyone today should just take a moment and reflect on the 6-1 record because it's been a bad 10 years. Take a moment and just reflect on that because of the fact that these things don't always happen. The ball is shaped the way it is because it makes the game more interesting. You get the funny bounces. And you don't know why. And sometimes you're on such a roll that everything goes your way. And it's just the way life is. Sometimes you're riding high, but those streaks end. And I'm not saying the Giant streaks are going to end, but they sometimes do come crashing to an end. Right now the Giants are in great position. to continue to march toward the playoffs. They have all the divisional games coming up. They are 0-1 in the division, but they have to focus on winning those games. They have to focus on the opponent ahead of them. But at 6-1 right now, you have to just smile. Because and I've said this before, and people are like, well, there's no such thing as luck. No, there is luck. And you know what? Perspiration also equals luck. Because if you put in the time to put in the effort, you create your own luck. Billy Zane, Titanic, a man creates his own luck. But right now, the ball isn't going to always bounce this way for the Giants. It's just not. The law averages say that some of these close games, we're probably going to end up losing one or two of them because of the fact that the ball always doesn't bounce your way. The calls don't always go your way. And the calls, the officiating was atrocious for both sides on Sunday. Not just against the Giants, but against the Jags as well. It was atrocious. But this is truly a moment to reflect. This, like I said, you don't get these types of seasons often. I'm not saying the Giants are going to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs yet because you know what? We got a long way to go. But it's one of those seasons that right now everything is going right. Everything that they do is going right. We've had 9-10 years of everything that we do it just goes horribly wrong. This is going right. So you know what? Take a moment this Monday. Reflect on what's going on. Be happy that your team is 6-1. Don't give all the credit to one player because it is a team effort. And just be excited that, you know what, the Giants are at where they're at. And we just kind of got to be happy about that. And right now we also got Daniel Bellinger, who, of course, was taken to the hospital with the bloody eye. He was poked in the eye on that one play. Evan Neal suffered the left, I think it was a knee. It was left knee injury. So we got to kind of see what happened. Yeah, it was early in the second quarter. He got rolled up on his left knee. He was carted off to the sidelines and quickly ruled out. He was able to limp off the field though under his own power. So we got to kind of wait and see where that is. The early belief is that he has an MCL injury. So we got to kind of wait and see. Bredesen was also ruled out with a knee injury going down the first quarter. He was able to leave, of course, on the field under his own power, but he was limping, and then he was carted off into the field. So we have to wait and see exactly where that comes up as well. It's you know what? It's next man up. And that's why we have to look at this. And I'm very excited about the stream today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk about the Giants. We're going to talk about everything else. We're going to talk about everything under the sun. And you know what? Like I said, just reflect on the day, guys. You're 6-1, guys and gals. You're 6-1. You're in a good spot in the NFC East. You got the game coming up against Seattle. Let's pull a Brian Daboll and look at the opponents ahead of us. Let's get excited for being what we are. Enjoy the moment. Because you know what? It's like I said, you don't get these many moments in sports. You don't get these many surprises that your team turns in the way that they are right now. Because everyone and their mother, except for a few people, predicted the Giants to win 5-6 games. So you know what? Be happy, be excited, be ecstatic, and you know what? Be a true New York Giants fan. Not just a fanatic, and look at this at what it is. It's a team effort. Again, this is Tim on the Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could like, please subscribe. If you ring that bell, you can get the news. That'd be awesome.